Imagine this. Your husband passes away, and 3 weeks later, in the middle of everything else you're trying to hold together, a letter from Social Security shows up asking you to pick a benefit. Most widows do exactly what feels safest. They take whichever check is bigger right now, and they never touch it again. Here's the part almost nobody tells them. That one decision made in the worst week of their life can quietly cost them $85,000 over the next 30 years. Not because they did anything wrong, because nobody explained that survivor benefits play by a completely different set of rules than every other Social Security benefit. And those rules give you a kind of flexibility you are never told you have. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to learn exactly how that flexibility works, how to use it, and how to avoid the mistake that quietly drains tens of thousands of dollars from widows every single year. Here's what we're covering. First, why survivor benefits are the one part of Social Security where you're actually allowed to claim one now and switch to another later, something you cannot do with most other benefits. Second, the 4 most common mistakes that cost widows real money, including one that has nothing to do with paperwork and everything to do with a wedding, and another that depends entirely on whether your spouse had already filed. Third, a full walkthrough using 2 real women's situations, real 2026 numbers, verified straight from the Social Security Administration, showing exactly how much a smart sequence is worth compared to the default choice most people make. And finally, a simple checklist you can use this week, whether you're already widowed or just want to understand this before you ever need it. Stay to the end because the last section is the one thing I want every single person watching this to write down. If you're new here, I'm Marcus Bennett. I spend my time studying how real retirement decisions play out for real families, cutting through the confusion the system creates, and laying it out the way I'd explain it to my own mother at her kitchen table. No fear-mongering, no countdown clocks, just the numbers and what they actually mean for you. Let's slow down and get the foundation right, because this is where almost everyone gets confused. Social Security actually pays out several different kinds of benefits. There's your own retirement benefit based on your own work record. There's spousal benefits paid while both people are alive. And there's survivor benefits paid after a spouse passes away. People assume these 3 all work the same way. They don't, and the difference matters more than almost anything else in this video. Spousal and retirement benefits are both subject to something called deemed filing. In plain English, that means once you apply for one, Social Security treats you as applying for both at the same time and pays you whichever is higher. You don't get to pick one now and switch to the other later. That door is closed. Survivor benefits do not work that way. Take a breath here, because this is the entire video in one sentence. Survivor benefits are exempt from deemed filing. That means you genuinely can claim your survivor benefit now, while your own retirement benefit keeps growing untouched in the background, and switch over to your own benefit later once it's bigger. Or you can do it the other way around. Claim your own reduced retirement benefit early, let the survivor benefit sit and grow toward its maximum, and switch to that one later. Either direction is allowed. This single exception is the entire reason a switching strategy exists, and it is the reason so much money gets left on the table by widows who never learn. It's an option. Now let's talk about timing, because the ages here are different from anything else in Social Security, and that trips people up constantly. You can claim your own retirement benefit as early as 62. You can claim a survivor benefit as early as 60, 2 years earlier than any other Social Security benefit exists. If you're disabled, that drops to 50. Claiming a survivor benefit at exactly 60 locks in 71.5% of what your late spouse's benefit would have been. That percentage climbs steadily the longer you wait, until you reach your own survivor full retirement age, where it caps at 100% of their benefit. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Survivor benefits do not get delayed retirement credits past that full retirement age. They simply stop growing. Your own retirement benefit is the opposite. It keeps growing 8% a year for every year you delay past your full retirement age, all the way to 70. So one benefit caps early and stays flat. The other keeps climbing for years longer. That asymmetry is exactly what makes the order you claim matter so much. One more piece, and then we'll get into the mistakes. If your late spouse had already earned delayed retirement credits before they passed, by working past their own full retirement age before claiming, those credits pass through to you in the survivor benefit. You don't lose them. That's worth knowing because it means the survivor benefit amount isn't fixed at some basic number. It reflects choices your spouse already made. And here's something worth sitting with for a second, because it explains why this exception exists at all. Deemed filing was written into the rules to stop married couples from gaming the system, claiming a spousal benefit early while letting their own retirement benefit grow untouched, then switching once it matured. Congress closed that loophole for spousal benefits years ago. But survivor benefits were left alone because Social Security treats the loss of a spouse differently from ordinary retirement planning. That's not a technicality. It's the reason a switching strategy is still legally available to widows and widowers today, even though it was closed off for married couples. Most financial content never explains why the rule exists, just that it does, and that gap is exactly where confusion creeps in. One more timing detail. Full retirement age for survivor benefits is calculated on its own schedule, separate from the full retirement age used for your own retirement benefit. For most people widowed today, those two ages land close together, but it's worth confirming both numbers directly with Social Security rather than assuming they're identical, since the gap between them can shift the math in either direction. Okay, the 3 mistakes. Stay with me, because each one of these has a real dollar cost attached. Mistake number 1. Believing you have to pick one benefit forever. This is the big one, and it's the one this whole video is built around. Most widows are handed a form, told to choose, and never told the choice can change later. They pick whichever number looks bigger that month, and they never revisit it, sometimes for 30 years. Every year that passes without revisiting the decision is a year of lost growth on whichever benefit was left untouched. Mistake number 2. Remarrying before age 60 without knowing what it costs. Here's the rule. If you remarry before you turn 60, you permanently lose eligibility for survivor benefits on your late spouse's record. Permanently. If you remarry at 60 or later, your survivor benefit eligibility is fully protected. I'm not telling anyone whether or when to remarry. That's nobody's business but yours. I'm telling you this exists, so it's a piece of information in your decision, not a surprise afterward. Mistake number 3. Assuming you automatically get half. A lot of people confuse survivor benefits with spousal benefits. Spousal benefits paid while both people are alive max out at 50% of the other spouse's amount. Survivor benefits are completely different. They can reach up to 100% of what your late spouse was receiving or would have received. That's double what most people assume going in, and it changes the entire math of which benefit to lean on first. Mistake number 4. Not checking whether your late spouse had already filed before they passed. The survivor benefit amount isn't calculated the same way in every situation. If your spouse had already started collecting their own retirement benefit before they died, your survivor benefit is generally based on what they were actually receiving at the time, not their full primary insurance amount, with one protection built in. If they claimed early and took a reduced benefit, there's a floor that prevents your survivor benefit from dropping below 82.5% of their original primary insurance amount. If your spouse passed before claiming anything at all, like Robert did in Linda's case, your survivor benefit is based on their full primary insurance amount, including any delayed credits they'd already earned. This is a detail that genuinely changes the dollar figure on your survivor benefit, and it's one more reason to get the exact number directly from Social Security rather than estimating it yourself. Now let's make this real with actual numbers, verified against the Social Security Administration directly, using 2026 figures. Linda is 60 years old. Her husband, Robert, passed away unexpectedly at 63. He hadn't started his own Social Security benefit yet. Robert's primary insurance amount, what Social Security calls his full benefit at his own full retirement age, was $2,800 a month. Linda's own primary insurance amount, based on her own work history, is $1,900 a month at her full retirement age of 67. Linda has 2 real paths in front of her, and almost nobody explains both of them. Path 1. Linda claims her survivor benefit right away at 60. At exactly 60, that's 71.5% of Robert's $2,800 benefit, which comes out to $2,002 a month. She lives on that for the next 10 years while her own retirement benefit sits untouched and grows. At 70, her own benefit has grown with delayed retirement credits to 124% of her $1,900 primary insurance amount, which is $2,356 a month. She switches over to her own benefit at 70, and that's her number for life. Here's what that's worth over time, assuming Linda lives to 90, which is 30 years from now. Survivor benefit from 60 to 70, that's $2,002 a month for 120 months, comes to $240,240. Her own benefit from 70 to 90, that's $2,356 a month for 240 months, comes to $565,440. Add those together, and Linda collects $805,680 over those 30 years. Now compare that to the default most widows fall into without ever knowing they had a choice. Claim the survivor benefit at 60 and just stay there for life, because it was the bigger number on day one and nobody mentioned switching was possible. That's $2,002 a month for the full 30 years, 360 months, which comes to $720,720. The difference between knowing about the switch and not knowing about it is $84,960. Same woman, same work history, same husband's record. The only difference is whether someone told her she was allowed to switch. Path 2 looks different, and it matters because not everyone's numbers point the same direction. Let's look at a second woman to see it. Carol is also 60. Her late husband's primary insurance amount was $1,700 a month, lower than his wife's own work record. Carol's own primary insurance amount, based on her own career, is $2,100 a month at her full retirement age of 67. For Carol, the smart sequence flips completely. She claims her own retirement benefit early, at 62, which comes to 70% of $2,100, or $1,470 a month. She lives on that while her survivor benefit, the smaller of the two numbers, sits untouched and climbs toward its cap. At her full retirement age of 67, her survivor benefit reaches 100% of her late husband's primary insurance amount, the full $1,700 a month. She switches to that at 67 and stays there for life, since survivor benefits stop growing past full retirement age, regardless of how much longer she waits. Compare that to the default a lot of widows fall into instead, simply taking whichever check looked bigger on day one and freezing there. If Carol had claimed her own benefit at 62 and just kept it, never switching to the survivor benefit at all, she'd be stuck at $1,470 a month for the rest of her life, even though a larger, fully matured benefit was sitting there the entire time, available to her, completely unused. The mechanism is identical to Linda's. What changes between the two women is simply which benefit you lean on first, and that depends entirely on whose primary insurance amount is larger. There's no universal right answer here. There's only the right answer for your specific numbers. However, and this matters, switching is not automatically the better move for everyone. If your health isn't good or you genuinely need the larger income starting today rather than 10 years from now, taking the bigger benefit immediately and keeping it can be exactly the right call. There's nothing wrong with that. The point of this video was never that everyone must wait and switch. The point is that you deserve to know the choice exists before you make it, instead of finding out by accident or never finding out at all. Your own health, your savings outside of Social Security, whether you have other family support, and how comfortable you are living on a smaller number for a few years all belong in this decision alongside the math. The numbers tell you what's possible. Only you can decide what fits your actual life. A couple of related numbers worth knowing while we're here. If you were divorced rather than widowed, you may still qualify for survivor benefits on an ex-spouse's record, as long as that marriage lasted at least 10 years, you're at least 60, and you haven't remarried before 60. A lot of people assume divorce closes that door permanently. It doesn't. And if you're working while collecting a benefit before your own full retirement age in 2026, the earnings limit is $24,480 a year, with $1 withheld for every $2 you earn above that. In the calendar year you reach full retirement age, that limit jumps to $65,160, with only $1 withheld for every 3 over the line. After you hit full retirement age, there's no limit at all, and withheld amounts aren't gone forever. Social Security recalculates and adds them back into your monthly benefit later. Let's bring this together into something you can actually use. Here's your checklist. 1. Find both numbers, your own primary insurance amount and what your late spouse's benefit was or would have been. You can find this through a My Social Security account at ssa.gov or by calling your local Social Security office directly and asking them to walk through both figures with you. 2. Compare which one is larger. The benefit with more room to grow, your own if you haven't claimed yet, is usually the one worth delaying. while the smaller or capped one is usually the one to claim first. 3. Check your timeline. How soon do you actually need the income? If your finances can absorb a smaller check for a few years, the switching strategy has real room to work. If you need full income now, that's a legitimate answer too. 4. Confirm how your survivor benefit was actually calculated. Ask specifically whether it's based on your spouse's full primary insurance amount or on a reduced amount they were already receiving, and whether the 82.5% floor applies in your situation. 5. If remarriage is anywhere in your future, know the 60 rule before you make any decision, not after. 6. Write down the date you plan to revisit this decision, whether that's your own full retirement age or some other milestone, and put it somewhere you'll actually see it. The biggest cost in this entire video isn't picking the wrong benefit first, it's picking one and never looking at it again. 7. Talk this through with someone at Social Security directly or a financial professional who specifically understands survivor benefit rules, because this is genuinely one of the more complicated corners of the system, and getting it confirmed in writing protects you. This video is for education, not personalized financial or legal advice. Your specific situation, your health, your other income, your state, all of it affects the right answer for you, so please use this as a starting point for a real conversation, not a final decision. If this helped you see something you didn't know was possible, do 3 things for me. Hit that like button so this reaches another widow who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video, because we're going deeper into spousal coordination strategies soon. And in the comments, type the word switch if you want a future video walking through the divorce survivor benefit rules in even more detail. I read every comment and they shape exactly what I cover next. Remember, you didn't do anything wrong by not knowing this. Nobody sits you down and explains it. That's exactly why I am here. I'm Marcus Bennett, and I'll see you in the next one.